I'm here today to give you an overview of 4 new sets of watercolor sticks from Daniel Smith. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I'm going to show you a little bit about how to use the watercolor sticks. I know that not everybody's familiar with them, but the main purpose of the review is the introduction of these sets. You get 5 watercolor sticks with each set. They come in these cases. They're made specifically for the sticks. Let me get one of my older. I want to show you how you can separate these. I already had some sticks. But say you want to just have one color, you go out, do some quick sketching, you can separate these. You can't put them back together, unfortunately. So that is a possibility. The sticks themselves they look like a pastel. They're not, as I'll show you in a few minutes. They are the equivalent to 3 full pans of watercolor. All of your labeling is here, and you will in fact eventually get to the point where that labeling is hard to read, so I would put any information that you wanted on the case or however you store them. Have something where you're able to identify the sticks as they get smaller. And you also have the option, you can either cut them down and fit them like into a half pan or full pan or into a palette. But also as they get smaller, if you don't want to keep them in this kind of a case or you don't have one in the first place, then you can cut them down to whatever storage that you need. And some people even like cut their sticks in half and then put the label back around them so they have a different color on each end. I'm not going to come close to showing you all of the options available. This is kind of a quick overview. There's lots of videos out there. I do recommend that you go out because there's so many techniques you can use with these guys. Okay, so the first one here, the aquatic landscape. They come with this nice color chart that shows you the colors that are involved. On the back, they're identified. The aquatic landscapes comes with cobalt teal blue, phthalo turquoise, carbazole violet, neutral tint, and quinacridone gold. And while I'm on the subject of those colors, there is a little bit of overlap between the 4 sets. Is it this one? Yeah, the enhanced watercolor stick also has the carbazole violet. And actually, I think that's the only overlap color. Yeah, I think that's the only overlap color. So if you wanted to buy all 4 sets, you'd have some extra carbazole violet. That's fine with me because I use a lot of purple. So anyway, back to aquatic landscapes. As you can tell, this would be mostly for the ocean view type landscapes, seascapes. But surprisingly, you can mix these colors very well, and you'll find that you can do almost anything. You're not stuck to just seascapes with this range of colors. Okay. Then granulating power. You've got serpentine genuine, sodalite genuine, lunar black, pymentite genuine, and hematite genuine. Get these out of the way. And then let's start with this. There's a core mixing palette, which are some of your more basic primary colors, plus you come with a neutral. And you got actually your 3 primaries and one of the secondaries, which is green. You have Hansa yellow medium, quinacridone coral, lamp black, cobalt blue, and phthalo green yellow shade, which usually it's a blue shade. So this is a little bit different phthalo green. And then you have the enhanced secondary mixing set. And those colors are buff titanium, quinacridone burnt orange, undersea green, moon glow, and carbazole violet. All four of these are nice sets as far as the range of colors. Mixing them, you're going to be able to do a lot. Okay. Now I'll show you a little bit about how to use these. Again, I'm not going to go into great detail just because that's not what this review is about. Hold on a second here. Now, since it looks like a pastel, probably the first thing most people think is, oh, I can just use it like a colored pencil or a pastel and put my color. And you can, in fact, do that. The problem with doing that is you're not getting the best saturation of color, and it's kind of like erasing, which does subtle damage to the paper. So you're not as likely to get your really flowing color, and you can see it takes a little bit of work to get that color. Now, however, since I've got it wet, I go in there and I can get better saturation of color. Let me move this a little bit because I keep knocking against it. Okay. But there are better ways yet to use this. One, just put your water in. Dip it in there. And then let's say you want to do a little bit of mixing. I'm going to add a little bit more water here. Although that ratio of colored paint to water is not the best. Let's get it over here. Okay. So put the carbazole violet there, and I want to mix them. Oh, and for splattering, since it's doing that already, this is another way you can pick up color, but don't get too vigorous, because as you can see, you start getting splatter. So this is actually a very good way to splatter. Mixing. Okay, and then you can get it mixed in there, and there's none of that where you're trying to get the paint off your brush and you have to clean it in between, and you kind of feel like you're wasting some of the paint because you can't get all of it off the brush into the water. This makes it really easy to mix your colors. And then of course you just paint as you normally would with the brush. Okay. And as I was saying, now even though this is a lighter color, I have a darker color on here. I think that's the edge I was using here. If you can get a lot of your color, you just wet brush or damp brush and pull your color off. They wet really easily. You can get your color very quickly. And again, makes it easier to mix your colors, or even just go ahead and get in there since it's wet. You can get some interesting marks doing it that way. You might want to spread it more or not. Okay. And while that's a little bit wet, just kind of some mark making there. And so you've got a little bit of contamination. And even with pans, you have to make sure that you don't get it too juicy where the other color would soak down around the edges of the pan and eventually contaminate the color. You don't have to worry about that with this. You just wipe it off. Make sure you get it all, but very easy to do. So, I mean, even if you had a yellow, just wipe it off. And I think that's enough. Really, there are so many other things that you can do with these sticks, but that really isn't my purpose today. I hope I've given you some idea of the wonderful things that you can do with this, but I will keep it at that. And now I'll show you some of the paintings that I've done using these sticks.